Hey guys, Dave Norona, and today we're going to talk about the Klim Atlas 26 Litre Avy Pack with the Alpride E2 Avy System in it. Now, we talked about the Aspect 16 liter, which is my favorite pack for sledding because it's small and super lightweight. But I also do a lot of sled skiing and touring off my sled. So when I change, I use the 26 liter. Number one, because it can carry more space, 26 liters. So when you're climbing up, you take your jacket off and a few other things, and then you have more storage room in the pack. When you get to the top, obviously you put your jacket on and then you can ski and you've got your skins and all sorts of things. So that's the reason why I use both packs. Now for you, if you're just a sledder or you're actually just skiing, if you're just skiing, this is the pack you want, the 26 liter. Now for those of you who sled and say you're the person in your group that always carries the extra stuff, the person that everybody loves if something goes wrong, then you're going to love this 26 liter pack because obviously it gives you more room. And if you just like to carry more gear or you just have more gear generally, then you're going to be looking at this pack. But it does have some different features over the Aspect 16, and we're going to talk about them all today. So we're going to go over the first things that are that I really do like about the pack. Is it's got this big sort of front pocket here, and again it's got the tool kit that you can load your tools or anything else you want to. I keep my tools on my sled, we've discussed that before, so I use this bag but keep it in my tunnel bag. But you can see it's got lots of great space and pockets for things like that are kept out of the way, and just, you know, if you ask your buddy to grab something, it's just in the front pocket there and easy to get at. It also has this awesome hard shell goggle pocket right here, so I keep an extra pair of goggles right there on the ready to go. I usually take two sets. I rarely use my spare set. Goggles are so good today, and managing them is pretty easy for me, but I always have a backup set there. I'm going to just actually switch the pack around. And one of the biggest differences that I absolutely love about the Atlas 26 is these waist pockets. Now these are great just to have maybe a little bit of food or something that you need to carry right there. And when I'm touring, it's especially important because I either have my camera or my Zoleo, which is my satellite communicator, which I have right here, in this pocket. So it's really easy to get at, and I always have my pack with me and it's always on, so it's right there at the ready. And if there's anything that I would love about the Aspect 16 is if it had one of these on the waist pocket. So Klim, if you're listening, that would be one great feature that I would love. It also has an inner zipper here for a drinking system. So if you like to have a drinking system, you can do that. It keeps nice and warm from your back, and that works really well as well. And we're going to switch it back over. And one of the things that we're going to talk about next is the Avy safety gear. So it's these red two zippers, just like the Aspect, and undo these two zippers, and of course it folds out. And you can see I have my shovel in here. I'm missing something in here, but you can also put your probe. We're going to get to that in a second. And it has some information down here, 911, rescue information, because of course sometimes under duress you can forget certain steps and what to do first, and it's all laid out nicely here. Now you'll notice I don't have my probe in this pocket, and there is a reason for that. I'm just going to zip it up. Is that Klim have actually done a really cool thing here, and that is this probe pocket here. With one switch of the buckle, you'll see my probe falls out. So actually, I can take my probe out when the pack is on. So it allows for a quicker retrieval of the probe. And I think that's really important. You'll hear me talk about, I usually have two probes on me, one that's in my pack, and I also carry one in my tunnel bag, just like I carry a shovel. Of course, you always need to have a probe and shovel on your person, but I carry an extra probe and shovel on my sled for the reason that I use that shovel all the time. In fact, I'll use it 10 out of 10 times, only using the inside shovel if I was separated from, and probe if I was separated from my machine. But the reason why I carry my probe in there as well is a probe is not only used in avalanche scenarios, but it's used to actually test the snow. So you can actually feel those layers by getting your probe out. You can actually see the snow depth you're dealing with, and you can also feel those layers in the snow and see how far they're down with the measurements on your probe. So it's all information that as a rider or skier you're going to use when you're out there. And having it more available, easier to deploy, you're going to use it more. So you're not only going to get more information, you're going to actually be better at deploying it. And that's something as sledders we always need to work on, is getting your stuff out, deploying it, and making sure you know how it works and that you can do it fast. So very cool. So we'll put that aside here. This just buckles up, and you can do it when the pack is on you, but you could also take the pack off and put it in and do that buckle. And I love that they've made it just like the red zippers. They've got a bright orange red buckle here that allows you to get at that. Now, another thing that they've done for 2023, and again, this is something that I really love, that was hard. Last year the zipper only came to here, so it was actually hard to get at the Alpride system to turn it on in the mornings. But look what they've done. This actually goes right around here now and opens up. So it absolutely shows everything that you need. And you can see that here. So you can get at all your gear. It's super cool. You can actually put this either on the snow or on your tunnel. And then you have all access to all the gear, the stuff at the bottom that you may put there that you don't use very often, but you do need, right up to the stuff that you're going to put at the top. But it also exposes the all-new Alpride E2 system. Now, it's amazing how small this is. One thing you're going to notice about this pack is you're going to pick it up and you're going to go, there's no Avy system in this pack. That's how light it is. But they've also done some really cool stuff here with the E2. And I guess the hardest thing, if you watch the other video, you've heard me say it, is you don't know where you are in the system. It has some lights to let you know if when it's on, and if it's green, yellow, or red. But now they've gone one step further with this digital display. And when we turn it on, so that's just a simple up here, and the pack turns on, you can hear it go through its check. It actually has lights here that will flash, and it's flashing green now. So that means the pack's good to go. I can deploy it, and that's all you're going to need to know for the rest of the day that it is. And it actually shines through this spot here, so somebody could check it, or you can check it throughout the day without opening the pack. But it also will let you know if it's yellow, it means that it needs half a charge, and if it's red, it needs a full charge. So there's two things that can happen there. If the night before you check it and it's yellow or red, you just use the included USB and plug it into a wall plug, and it'll charge, and it lets you know how to do that. It does it in about 25 minutes. The other thing that you can do is house two AA batteries right in here. And they basically just go in like so, and put them in here and then close it up. And when the pack is turned on, it recognizes that those batteries are in there, and it will actually charge the capacitor with them. So if the pack is off, it does not drain or use these batteries. But when you turn it on, and say it was in the yellow, these batteries would now actually charge the capacitor up to full charge. So in the other video I used a quick explanation is, one time I set off my pack in the trees by accident, and I shut it off, folded it up. I turned it back on. The batteries went to work in charging the capacitor, because you only get one charge out of the system before you have to either charge it with a USB or batteries. And in the time it took me to dig my sled out of the trees and whatever, light was now green. So those batteries had brought them up to and charged. Roughly 25-30 minutes. It was a big stuck. So that's a very cool system, and it lets you know what's going on with the LED screen. So I think that's super, super cool. That's one of the questions I had. What happens with these batteries when the pack is off? They're just sitting there dormant. They're not sucking energy out of them. So you don't have to guess if these have a charge. When you turn it on, it lets you know if these are dead or not. But I will say that I always carry two AA's in my pack, just in case I forgot to do something or these weren't working. I could throw them in there and I needed it. And two AA's weigh next to nothing, so I don't mind doing that. And very cool. So that just zips right up here. We have the system on now. We'll close this up. Again, it's super easy to do so with the coffin style bag. And then, of course, we'll do these two buckles and we'll put the pack on. So, a few more differences with the Atlas 26. Remembering always to wear your bottom strap and use your strap that comes up between the middle of your crotch. This is going to keep the pack on, if you get in a very traumatic avalanche, one common thing is the pack will lift up, especially with the airbag deployed, and if you're not attached to it properly, it can actually lift up right over your arms. So the crotch strap prevents that, so make sure that's nice and snug. And then do your sternum strap up. So this is where the pack changes up front. On the Aspect 16, we've got a hard sort of shell, it gives you some protection, but also keeps the pack nice and centered. On the smaller pack, I think you can get away with it because generally it just the way it works. But as we go to a bigger pack and you're adjusting it more, maybe because you're putting more weight into the pack, then it goes away from that system, and it has two zippers, one here on this side where I house my radio that will then clip onto my sternum strap, and on this side, and you can move it from side to side, is we have our trigger unit. So that's just going to come out here and be right there available. When you're not in avalanche terrain or at lunch, you can put this down and then it's out of the way and not going to get clipped on. So it's a very user-friendly, comfortable pack, and those are the differences mainly. And you can see I've got these pockets right here that are real easy to access my Zoleo or something else that you may want to carry in there, some food like I said before. And now we're ready, if we want, to set off the airbag pack. We'll do a little spin here to show you what it's like. The great thing about this system is how quick it deploys, how easy it does, and also you have full visibility. It's really important because when we talk about Avy safety and pulling your Avy pack, over 25% of victims to avalanches have not pulled their Avy pack. Mostly because people don't want to, because they're worried about, well, what if I set it off and then it wasn't important and I don't have another canister or such. So they don't do it. And by the time they might need to, they don't have the time to do it because it happens very quickly. So the very important thing whenever you're out skiing or sledding or whatever in the backcountry is if you hear any whoomphing, someone yells, you feel a shift in the snow and you start moving, pull your Avy pack. You can always at the end fold it back in and go back to the truck and charge it or use the batteries, especially with this system, to recharge it. But you don't want to be left in that situation that you didn't deploy it because you were afraid that it wasn't going to be big enough. That's probably the worst case scenario that you could do. So always pull it, and you know, if your buddies laugh at you and you end up and you didn't even really get buried, just move to the side, chalk that up to things done right, not wrong. So that's really, really important. Having said that, if we are going to be able to ski or sled out of something, we need great visibility, and this airbag pack allows you to do that. So that is also really, really important. Now, when we take the pack off and put it down on the ground, there is one button that you push and it'll let all the air out, and then you just fold the airbag off, all into itself, and put it back into the bag. Of course, we've turned the system on, and now we're going to turn it back on and use the batteries to get back up to another charge. Like in my scenario that I talked about, or we're practicing in the hotel and we're going to plug it into a USB or a cigarette lighter into your car, or at home you're just practicing and you use the USB to charge it back to a full charge. So super easy to do that. Well, that is the Klim Atlas 26 liter. Of course, you can check it out at klim.com or your favorite snowmobile or ski retailer. We'll see you out in the backcountry.